Hello, everyone. I'm very lucky to have another senior retired Army officer with us. Right now, we have Colonel Jha with us. We are very lucky to have him. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Colonel.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a great opportunity. We just had a conversation before this as a prelude, and I take it as a great opportunity for me to talk about my thoughts, my feelings. My subject remains India, and I am a military veteran of command regiment, and have been educated and brought up into the best of the institutions of the country, the Sainik School, the National Defense Academy, the Indian Military Academy, the Defense Services Staff College, College of Military Engineering, and so forth. And then I did work in the corporates in the best of the MNCs like Honeywell, Pearson, and so forth. And it was just recently, last year, that I decided to write a book. After deep research for 2 years, and I published a book called Billion Unlimited Minds, India at 100. And the intention of that book was basically to bring out the ideas and thoughts as to how do we go about doing things to become a developed economy. Many books, many thoughts have been written by many writers and thinkers, but here was a communication, or here was a set of thoughts in this book from a common man, from a man who is not a super achiever like a minister or a politician. He's been an officer, and he's traveled across the country, and he's done things on the ground. And so I decided to talk about it through the medium of this book. And my intention is at least to write 2 to 3 books in every chapter of this book, which I've authored first.
Mhm.
So, and that will be my main method of communication to give it back to the society for the residual years of my life. Now, I'll talk about certain thoughts which have always been echoing my mind, and and I've been talking about in various forums across the landscape of the country wherever I had an opportunity. And today, I met a great mentor in the form of Mr. Subodh Mathur, who has given me the opportunity to talk about it. He himself is an accomplished person, and I feel lucky. It's a big luck and opportunity for me. So a couple of facts, first of all, to bring it on the table. First, ladies and gentlemen, we are a nation of 1.4 billion people with a median age of 29 years. Do we know that we have 260 million, about 26 crore children, school-going children to school? We have about 2.5, about 25, 2.5 million schools in this country. And these 2.5 million schools, about 1.4 million schools are government schools. And the state of government schools is, to say the least, it is not even at a nascent stage of development or a thought, where the policies are there, rules are there, laws are there, but implementation is a problem. Teachers do not go to schools. What kind of future are we trying to build? So I've started stratifying and then balance about 1.1 million schools, which are private schools. There things are happening. The richer people, the upper middle class people, they are able to send their children to school, and they take care of the top half. Another data set I want to give it to you is, in a nation of 1.4 billion people, the lower half of 80 crore people is a major problem. If you do not address this, the growing wealth inequality is growing and growing. It is getting worse. We are a nation who has 400 river systems. We are a nation which has 7,581 kilometers of coastline. A nation with 220 kilometer nautical miles of EEZ along the coastlines. 1,381 island territories. God knows how many tribal areas. And we say ourselves, because we see the top crust of top 20, 30 crore people in the top cities of the country, that we are a very digitalized nation. Even today, the number of internet users in India is just about 80 crores, that is
Yeah.
800 million. What about the rest 8? What about the rest half? The quality of internet, if you go and see the internet quality index, it's still it's very low, way about 74th or 75, despite the fact that we're claiming 5G. So there's a huge strata of levels in this country, from a deep well to a high mountain in terms of technology, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of anything that you can think of, infrastructure and blah, blah, blah. So the top crust, when you see of India, the first 10 crore people, you will feel very bullish. It's a beautiful country, a lot of development is happening, it's a developed country and all that. But when you go down deep, there is a problem. And that's why I've talked of a lot of issues in my book, in which starting from governance to public policy, to thoughts on circular economy, to thoughts of how about smart villages? Why only smart cities? And when I say smart villages, we actually there are a lot of programs which are happening in this country on making cleaning the ponds. We used to have a lot of desilting funds for our artificial obstacles in the army. From there, I learned the word called desilting. Why floods are happening in this country is primarily because we don't desilt our river systems and all our water bodies. This is the biggest problem. After this comes the problems of encroachments and so on and so forth. और अगर पानी ही खराब रहेगा, if the water is a problem, everything else is gone. If you don't have clean air and clean water, you may do anything, it'll go for a six. There is no dearth of ideas in this country. There is no dearth of proven ideas in this country. You talk of betterindia.com, you talk of technocrats, you talk of best universities, you talk of best colleges, you talk of best R&D labs, you talk of best space technology, the national quantum mission, the open network for digital commerce, the account aggregator system. All these things are now available, but they are available to whom? To the top 1 crore, to top 10 million, or top 20 million, top 50 million, or top 10 million maximum, or 100 million, you can say at the most. What were the balance 100 crore people of this country, balance 1 billion people of this country? They are still struggling with their basics. Now a state has come in which the basics have been taken care of. That is, I'll give you a data set. India today has about 10 crore, that is about 100 million self-help groups. Now, these self-help groups work through a microcredit system. I don't have to explain it, it's there in the book and all that stuff. That has given a basic level of subsistence. And 80% of the members of the self-help groups are women folk. So, घर में चूल्हा जल रहा है अभी तक. There is no problem of roti, kapda and makan with all the basic programs which the government has done over the last 10, 15 years. It is the continuum. There are certain ideas and thoughts where the government has to move very, very fast. That is, create a government-led Amazon.com or an e-commerce platform called ONDC, which is already taking place. Now it has to be socialized. We need to actually walk the talk on the ideas of small villages. Nobody has talked about it. Okay, we need to actually clean our river systems, desilt them, remove encroachments, and have a policy in which we should never see earth before.
Mhm.
Now, but those floods before floods in future. Now, it's very easy for me to say that, that corruption, how we can, no, we just get, it becomes a block. So the problem is the problem here that I have been observing is in my professional life of 40 years is we can remove corruption. It is possible. It is happening in a slow way. But the day you start actually having professional honesty in this country, right from every individual, even if he's a sweeper or a teacher or a housekeeper, the day he starts having that character, that dignity of labor, and respect to him both ways, corruption will go. The bigger crime is giver of corruption, not the taker of corruption. So we have to build up that national character. And why developed nations are better developed is primarily because they have a national character. That is where we need to work hell of a lot. The government has all the programs called aspirational districts, developing Nagar Panchayats, municipalities, districts, SEZs, economic zones. A lot of incentives are sector-specific incentives have come up, PLIs and all that stuff. So there is a box of things. Too many things are happening at this central government level, at the state government level, all level. The problem is the doers are still not even 10% of their 100-meter run. If they have to walk 100 meters, they have not even run 10 meters, despite all the push from the top or from the sides or from the bottoms. And so that is where, sir, every effort by every educated and conscious patriot like you and me for our residual years of life have to start moving the wheel and do our contribution. Every time I tell my children and my people whom I mentor, my startups whom I mentor in India, I mentor a couple of startups, and they are as small as net worth 1 crore, 2 crore, and all that stuff. That is about 10 million, 5 million, and all that stuff. But once I put the oxygen in them, they feel so motivated. They dream now today, like you rightly said, our aim is to dream. The dream of becoming, a dollar billionaires first, dollar millionaires first, and then dollar billionaires later. Okay, over next 10, 20, 30 years. So that's what is my contribution. If I'm able to create clones of Prashant Jha's, even at 100 of them before I die, I think I would have lived a meaningful life. So these are my thoughts. The book is an ocean of many initial thoughts in this, in my book. So this is one of the many books, and the people can read it. Is available across the site. But more than the books, I write on subjects and write preferably on LinkedIn. Mostly that I write is on LinkedIn because I find that that it's a professional site and the reach is global, and a lot of people come and connect here and talk about rather than other social media platforms. And my method of communication has been mostly written communication and one-to-one call with intellectuals like you, sir, and a lot of people, where there is honesty in communication, and then we follow it up with actual execution. Only then there is some meaning. Otherwise, you can have any kind of social cause to just to make a market out of it. That makes no sense, sir. So
Okay.
therefore, it's very important that let our journey be long. Let people like us. India has no dearth of talent in terms of retired professionals.
Yes.
Every profession of the world, sir, country, sir. It's not only the military, the navy, the technocrats, the IITians, the entrepreneurs. They have become coaches. Okay, I have ISc professors living in my society in Bangalore, sir, who are consulted by the government think tanks and who have built mainframe computers and all. The Institute of Science Bangalore, I'm talking of. People from ISRO. ISRO is just 4 kilometers from my house in Bangalore, and those scientists and all that, and they're all simple middle class people like you and me, sir. I mean, they don't have too much of money, but they have a lot of wisdom and a lot of information, a lot of expertise to share and walk the talk of thinkers of ideas like you, sir. So we are with you, and a man who is PhD in economics. I mean, I could be lucky to, I could be more than lucky, sir. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for the opportunity, and we will continue to talk on these subjects one by
Yes.
one. We'll take every subject one by one.
Right.
Last point before we sign off, sir, on this talk is I would like to say is the idea that you've just talked about, the idea of small towns. I will add two more words to it in small towns. Is that let's make these small towns smart and green.
Okay. All right. Right.
Smart and green. Okay, and that is where so the smart towns, small towns, small towns, and smart villages will actually build India bottoms up.
Yes.
And that is what the whole purpose or the whole philosophy of India should be, to actually make India a developed state. And the
Yes.
corollary or analogy that I want to bring out is analogies of the towns and village enterprises in China. That's how they grew up bottoms up.
Yeah.
So we need to do it. It cannot be top down. A lot of
Yeah.
top down things are happening in this country, sir. We need to
Yeah.
do it bottoms up, lateral, and get like-minded people and get things moving. Once again, thank you very much for the
Okay,
opportunity, sir.
maybe yeah,
I'll
let me
continue to
just
talk
ask
about
you a
this.
question at this stage. What
Yes, sir.
advice do you have for young people?
My advice for young people, sir, is that especially if you're educated enough, and is two. First is please do research, and research in any subject or any focus that you want to do. Be a laser rather than being a flashlight. That's one. Second is, if you have achieved something in your life, even if you become an educator, a professor, or a scientist, or a manager in a bank, or a financial expert and all that, start creating clones of yourself. Please pick up, if you're a 25-year-old youth or a 35-year-old youth, you just say that over next 5 years, I will bring just 5 people or 2 people free of cost, just mentor them, guide them, and bring them up to my level by giving them my time and guidance to them. FOC. If every successful Indian citizen, youth, starts doing this, the national level things, the Teach India campaign, a lot of such campaigns are all there. But if every successful youth, the top 1 crore youth of this country or 10 crore youth of this country start doing this activity for the lower start of the society, it's not only teaching, it's mentoring them end to end, bringing them to the level कि उसको वहाँ यूपीएससी पास कराया और बैंक में पीओ बना दिया और फाइनेंस एक्सपर्ट बना दिया and blah blah blah. See, bringing him to that level by teaching him, because that's where the actual gap exists, sir.
Okay.
That would be the best thing to do, sir. These are my submission.
Okay, great. I'll discuss this with you offline, but thank you for the thought. And I think if you have something more to add, this is the time for it.
Nothing much, sir. Only thing is that I look forward to such conversations, such ideas. Look forward to meeting people through you, sir, who
Okay.
can drive these thoughts. And
Okay.
actually now, and as fast as possible, let's start thinking of walking the talk also, so that we actually start
Yeah,
delivering from the ground.
we are ready to walk. We are
Yes, sir.
ready to. What
And
I
uh,
say
and
is that
and we involve, yes, sir. And we
our
involve everybody into that.
our effort to develop make the small town smart and green. I say it like this, that it was an idea, now we have a bus, we have a driver, we have passengers, the
Yes,
driver
sir.
has started the engine and the engine starts. Now,
Yes.
will it actually move the bus and how fast? That yet to be proven.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. But then we are sure of the idea. Only thing is that it will take time, sir, because
No, we
it's
are,
got to be done. There's
yeah,
lot to be
okay.
done. It will take
Okay,
time.
all right.
So
So
we
we
need to be
can
patient
discuss
about
this
it.
offline. Let's
Yes.
end it here. Thank you, Colonel. Let's end it
Thank you,
here,
sir.
Colonel Jha. And
Thank
thank
you,
you
sir.
so much for giving us the wisdom of your thoughts. You didn't talk about army life, but you talked about the country, and that's really what it is all about. So let's end it here. And
Yes, sir.
to the viewers, I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Till then, bye. Bye, everybody.